the paradox is the more I work and the more I work on my business and work with clients and I find fulfillment in myself and I'm on my purpose, the more a relationship flourishes because she loves to see me in my purpose.
What fringe and holistic practices are actually worthwhile? Are chiropractors BS? Why do so many people end up in fringe and oftentimes fraudulent health practices? This is some of what we're going to be covering today with Colin Carr, a Czech practitioner, neurosomatic therapist, holistic lifestyle coach, massage therapist, college wrestler, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, as well as a personal trainer. Truly a one-stop shop for those of you who are listening in Austin, Texas. Get ready to hear about all of that, but also why Colin believes working hard and building a business for yourself is actually good for a relationship, even if that means less time with your partner. We will also be covering something I don't think I've ever spoken about that he and I both share, a Tourette's-like ticking disorder, and where we both think it actually came from for us. If this is your first time here, I make bi-weekly deep dives into fitness pop culture trends, as well as holistic bodybuilding and powerlifting content, so make sure to subscribe to hear more of that. The Amazon gift card giveaway for this episode will be chosen at random in the comments by telling me why you got into a different alternative health treatment. So with all that out of the way, guys, my name's Andrew with Pride. Let's get into it.
I don't know when this is actually going to be out, but I always shoot an intro beforehand. But I am just going to say, I'm actually about to rebrand my entire business, all three of them, sort of under one umbrella. So I actually don't know what to say my podcast is right now. But hey, guys, Andrew, welcome to the podcast. We've got Colin Carr, a longtime friend, fellow Czech practitioner, and one of the smartest body workers I've ever met. You live in Austin. Give us the quick rundown about you. Who are you? What do you do? What's your story?
What about, okay, I was born 1996, a baby. No, so yeah, I'm a Czech practitioner. My background is, lifelong athlete, just have had a bunch of pain. I couldn't figure it out. After college, I needed to find some way to kind of get healthy. Traditional therapies like chiropractic, orthopedic doctors, physical therapists, acupuncture, more alternative routes all failed me. So like many of us, like you maybe perhaps, had to find an alternative route. Came across Paul Chek and the Chek Institute and decided to give that a shot. So became a Czech practitioner, went to massage school, became a neurosomatic therapist, got into functional medicine, personal training, holistic lifestyle nutrition coaching, and then some somatic and emotional work as well. So that's kind of like a quick snapshot of my background. That's where I am now.
Right. It was really interesting because when year one, it seemed like you and I were the only ones who were actively working in our field, and everybody else was kind of like, yeah, like this is step one for me. And I, respectfully was like, this is expensive. And this is step one for a lot of y'all. Like, holy shit, this is crazy. Yeah. Looking back, do you kind of feel like that was actually for you, do you wish that this was something you started earlier? Or do you think it was actually good as like, an add-on to what you were doing?
I think it was a valuable add-on because I still think for people who understand what we're talking about, there's this course called Holistic Lifestyle Nutrition Coaching, level 1. And it teaches you the very basics of like holistic nutrition. One of the main things is like healthy fats, kind of more ancestral dieting, kind of Western A price stuff, which is very much like new to a lot of people. So I think it was definitely valuable for me, especially working with clients in the fitness area. Macros, calorie counting, all that stuff never really appealed to me. There's a time and place, it's a tool. I do it every now and then, especially when it comes to like cutting weight for jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But I thought it was very valuable. I thought it was very valuable for the time and where I was at. I thought it was a great class. You met a lot of people, and definitely applied a lot of it to my own life as well as clients. So yeah, I was very happy with it.
Yeah, sometimes I'll think about it with myself because I found out about Paul and the Czech Institute 10 years before I actually did it.
Yeah.
And I think about that where I'm like, damn, dude, like if this would have been like step one for me, I would have been completely lost. I would have had no idea what I was doing, how to apply it, how to this, how to that, how to blah, blah, blah. And it seems like one of those things where it's kind of as opposed to like drinking from the faucet with like a traditional personal training certification, you're kind of drinking from the fire hose, like it's so much information that goes so deep in so many different areas that I think that's what happens with a lot of folks and who do join it is they get their first year out of the way and they're like, holy shit, I remember 5% of this. And it's a lot. But something you and I were talking about right before we started recording, because I am my own editor, people never notice that I do this, but I've got a dozen or so tics. Don't know if it is, if it's like an autism thing, if it's an OCD thing, if it's a Tourette's thing. I've never cared enough to check it out, but I've had a handful of people be like, look, it's one of those three or a combination of them. And I'm like, okay, it is little squeaks that I do with my voice. It is me going, It's me doing like this big eye opening thing with my eyes. It's the ways I fidget with my hands. It's, I've got, like I said, a dozen or so of these. And, my current girlfriend was the first person to ever actually point it out. And I was like, shit, this hasn't been nearly as secretive as I thought it was. I thought I was doing a really good like masking it. But you also have like a handful of them.
Yeah.
And we were kind of discussing, where does this shit come from? What has kind of been your take on it for yourself?
Yeah. So I'll look at the camera for a second. I have this like little eye thing. It's a little wink. It's like kind of like this right here. Like almost like raising my left eyebrow. I also kind of like kink my head a little bit too. So yeah, for the longest time, I just kind of accepted it. People kind of made fun of me for it. Got the nickname like Twitch, stuff like that. And it's just always kind of been there. And, I'm kind of at peace with it now. I'm not going to be 100%, not self-conscious about it. But it's a part of me that I've learned to love. And growing up, I didn't know until college. I actually went to a psychoneurologist. And they're like, oh, it's probably just Tourette's. And maybe that is, maybe that's not, maybe that's bullshit. I don't know. But what I have noticed, and I was mentioning this to you, and you're like, wait, let's save this for the podcast. There's a couple times where it doesn't happen. And anybody who has any kind of fidgeting like this, I think it kind of applies. The 2 times it doesn't happen is when I'm doing like nervous system practices, like meditation, breath work, when I'm just getting really still, getting into a lot of depth, just being very present with my body, noticing that. And then when I'm looking in the eyes of my partner, or being like intimate or just like having a deep conversation. Even when I'm talking to you right now, it's probably going to drop down a little bit because I'm very focused and present with you, looking into your eyes. So for me, that's what really helps it. And what it comes down to that is I think it's just nervous system regulation. I think it's my nervous system so acted up. I mean, I've had 2 cups of coffee today in preparation. I'm a little sleep deprived. I'm consciously choosing to do that. But when my nervous system is being regulated or I'm regulating it in the moment, that need to expel excess energy, that fidgeting is just a sign of nervous system regulation, nervous system capacity, the ability to not be jittery, right? So I think it just comes down to nervous system training and capacity and building that through practice, breath, stillness, stuff like that. Very masculine practice.
So I've kind of got a similar thing where there's a handful of things that I'll do that kind of quiet it down, and obviously abstaining from certain things. So, like really high caffeine and stuff. I don't twitch and fidget and whatever the hell people call it nearly as much. But when, like you said, when I'm in a very, very deep conversation, and this is part of why people don't really hear it when I'm podcasting is because I'm reading a script very intentionally. I am having a conversation with someone, but I have to cut out quite a bit of them. And then the other exception is, if I'm with a partner in like a super really like loving, caring conversation. But if we are fighting, I go nuts with it. I'm just like I can't stop. It's like I get stuck in this loop with it. And then caffeine. But it's really strange that there seems to be these like it's connected to nervousness or stress or whatever, or all these various different states. And I noticed a couple weeks ago, my mom does the same ones. And we were talking earlier about trauma. So you do neurosomatic therapy. You do a lot of work around like emotions stored in the body, kind of the Bessel van der Kolk, line of work. And the Body Keeps a Score for anybody who's, listening, 10 out of 10 book on this kind of stuff. But my mom and I both had a very, very similar experience as a child. And both of us have nearly identical tics. And I was like, I called her like a month ago. I'm like, you notice that you do this? And she goes, oh yeah. I just figure most people don't notice it until someone does notice it. And then I realized that everybody notices it. And I'm like, yeah, I've noticed it my entire life, but I didn't notice that I noticed it. And I do it too. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So it's weird, but What has kind of been your take on that of, there being these, it's like you said, it seems to be like nervous system regulated for you. What's kind of been your take on it for yourself? Where did it come from?
Yeah, so there's that nervous system part too. And then for me, at least, I'll share another thing too. When my needs are getting met emotionally, either by myself through like reparenting, inner parenting, again, usually it's in these moments of deep intimacy, sexual and not sexual with my partner. It might be me and her just sitting on a rock, in nature. But in those moments, my needs are getting met. I like to kind of use David Rico, we're going to drop some books here today, author of How to Be Adult and Healthy, How to Be a Adult in Relationship. Has these 5 A's: attention, affection, appreciation, allowance, and what's the other one? Either way, in those moments, my needs are getting met. Again, my twitch kind of goes away. It's very calm. It's very neutralized. And I think that's where that part comes in, the intimacy and being still, is because those are all being met. And you mentioned like the body keeps score and all that. I'm bringing this up because I've always wondered if there's like an emotional somatic component there. If there's some kind of trauma there in that eye, something I'm not having an inability to see in my past or my future, my present, whatever. Because I remember it happening in a moment that always comes back to me when I do this kind of inner work, of my mom like leaving me at my grandma's house. And it always comes back to that one moment. And then she came back and she's like, "Why are you doing that with your eye?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just can't stop it." And she's like, "Well, can you like stop it?" And I was like, I can't stop it. So, the more and more I kind of go inward and try to look at it like that, there is food for thought there. So I think it's a combination of nervous system regulation, getting your needs met, which is just, again, nervous system regulation, especially in like relationship. You want to be able to tend to each other's nervous system. So there's that piece. And this is the first time I've admitted this on the podcast, but I did peyote for the first time 2 months ago.
Right.
And the guy who ran it, beautiful man, he's a descendant of a Comanche elder, the last one. And he said the whole entire day, it was like a 12-hour process, I didn't twitch once.
Wow.
Like literally once. And I was like, wow, you're right, I didn't. I told Paul, check that too. He's like, yeah, because your ass was grounded. And I was like, okay. So that's the other take I would take on it.
See, so this is really, really crazy to me because so I did psychedelic therapy once upon a time, had a professional guide for it and everything like that. And it intensifies mine to a massive degree. Like it literally sounds like someone's voice is trying to escape from me. I don't talk in the same voice. This might wig a lot of folks out. I talk in a child's voice, which, I suppose we could go down the, reparenting and childhood trauma route with all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting that for you, it grounded it, shut it down. And for me, it brings it up to like it 100X's it for whatever reason. Tell us about neurosomatic therapy. What is that?
Yeah, so people often get the somatic part about that misconfused with like somatics, like Peter Levine, again, kind of like trauma stored in the body and stuff like that. That does happen every now and then with clients, especially when I do like organ work. But neurosomatic therapy, for any body workers, I know we talked about it a little bit back and forth, you kind of were interested in it. It's a school of massage therapy down in Clearwater, Florida, branched off from traditional neuromuscular therapy. And the founder is Paul St. John. They even had a neuromuscular St. John method, but he took kind of like Paul's check. Like he takes all the synthesis of the best school of thought and makes a beautiful model. Neurosomatic therapy takes key concepts from Upledger and like cranial sacral therapy, neuromuscular therapy, myofascial release, and the Burrell Institute stuff of like organ massage. So neurosomatic therapists are trained in, again, organ massage, working with the eyes, massaging the eye muscles, which are very critical, especially when you get to IMS4 in the Czech Institute. You learn all about eyes. TMJ work, tongue massage. But the powerful stuff comes in the cranial work, because we don't understand just how much like our cranium affects the wiring and the firing between the hemispheres and the compression, the intracranial compression that happens over our cranial bones are a little misaligned. And people will be like, oh, your sutures are like fully formed, but no. The sutures do move. Your bone does move. I mean, if you sit at a desk all day like this, you're going to push your maxilla up and cause a distortion in your maxilla, maybe causing TMJ pain, sinus pain, all these different things. And these can be affected either by like, biological dentist appliances or through consistent craniofacial work.
Getting teeth removed.
And that's dramatic.
My migraines, my TMJ, like so many different issues started after I got my wisdom teeth taken out. And what's even funnier is I was like, do I need to get them taken out? And they're like, probably not, but your insurance is going to end soon, so you should get it. And I was like, okay. So they literally said, yes, you should get an unnecessary surgery. And now I've got all these like downstream issues because of it. It's so wild, man. So the one of the biggest things, we were talking about this earlier, holistic is a very loaded term that either means like the greatest thing on the planet to people, or it means just absolute bullshit, absolute snake oil. And I think you and I are kind of in this, like, it's somewhere in between. There's a lot of holistic practices that probably shouldn't fall under that umbrella, chiropractic being one of those. And then there's stuff that it's like, how is this not, under that umbrella? Keeping the meditation, the nutrition, the movement, the journaling, the having a goal, a dream, all these different kinds of stuff that just help keep you aligned and on your purpose and moving the best direction possible. What are some of those things for you that you're just like, how do people keep falling for this like pseudo scientific practice? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about chiropractic outside. And, I know some chiropractors who are great. There's one in California, there's one in Midwest, there's some in Austin that I know are amazing. But again, for me, like chiropractic, again, I wouldn't put it underneath that because it's still very isolated. It's still not addressing the root causes, like posture, diet, inflammation, all kinds of stuff. And it just never works. And I can get into anatomical reasons why it doesn't work. At least, again, this is my perspective. In addition to that, any kind of holistic method that's kind of like still isolated, right? Meditation without integration, or meditation, or like emotional release without integration, or cathartic releases without some kind of integration. Like and that's why I love Chek's models, because everything's integrated. But people, they use the body, mind, spirit. The mind without actually bringing in the body, or the spirit without bringing the mind and body. I mean, how many people do you see in the spiritual community who still eat like shit?
Yep.
They're connected to oneness and they're meditating, but they're going out eating McDonald's. They don't care for their body, which paradoxically is a vessel for spirit. Right. So I think, anything can kind of fall in that category. Yoga can fall in that category. Exercise, functional medicine. Functional medicine can just be green medicine.
Yeah.
You can just be giving supplements, and that's an alternative, more holistic method to eczema and colitis, which is something you wanted to like bring up. Like,
yeah.
But again, it's like the values and the emotionality of like why you're not eating that. Or again, taking a holistic viewpoint of the body, maybe their atlas is out and they're not getting the vagus nerve to fire correctly to the stomach and having digestive problems there, or your posture is messed up. So there's so many different ways. Like anything can kind of be in that category, but also not fully give justice to that word holistic.
I think where a lot of people fall off with like the entirety of like holistic treatment is that it is so in the weeds usually. And like you're familiar with Occam's razor? Yeah. So it's like for anybody listening, basically it is if you have two solutions, one is simple and one is complicated, the solution is probably the easy one. And what a lot of holistic stuff does is it goes into these very odd rabbit holes where, okay, you have, digestive issues. What's the more likely thing? Is it the food that you're eating, or is it, you've got to get your atlas realigned so that, your vagus nerve is firing correctly to your stomach? It is almost surely 9 times out of 10 your diet. But the reason that 1% that 10%, that 1 out of 10 is so important is because those are the people who have tried everything and absolutely nothing has worked. And when you've seen, 20 different specialists and had 20 different treatments and trials and medications and diets and lifestyle and this and that and all these different things, and absolutely none of it has worked, you end up becoming a zealot for these new treatments. And that's kind of what happened with me was, I had colitis, still technically do have, because you're never technically cured of colitis. I had eczema, I had this, I had that, my joints were inflamed, all these different things. And then suddenly I'm like, okay, I'm eating better. I'm meditating, I'm getting more sleep, I'm training harder, I have better energy. What the fuck is going on? And it was after not seeing all these professionals anymore. What was that shift for you? What was kind of the thing where you're like, none of this is getting better, but then I did XYZ holistic practice and suddenly all this is better?
Yeah, what that was for me was, again, the Czech Institute stuff, like learning the body goes deep, and that I thought I was eating healthy, organic, paleo, everything. Um, but I still had a very unhealthy relationship with food. Again, getting my body aligned, not working out like a freaking maniac like I did, because I was a college wrestler. That was just what I used to do, just killing my body. Learning how to regulate my emotions and how to husband my own feminine and like being with my emotions. So all these things played a role, and none of them were one isolated. It's consistent practice, and that's the beauty of Paul's like 4 doctor models. It's we take a simple model, we take the complicity and we bring it back into simplicity. Like you can get so deep in the weeds about nutrition, happiness, dream, purpose, sleep, and these are all like the 4 doctors, and like movement science. But just having simple values in all those really just turned it for me. Taking the complex and making it simple and like a beautiful model. So really just a combination of everything.
Right.
And you had to practice it daily.
Yeah, and again, it's because of how it all actually comes together. It ends up not being this like, you're trying to solve one thing with, well, rather, how would I word this? Because they're all tied into each other, it becomes a very obvious connection. You've got, okay, I am dealing with my diet and my inflammation in my joints is going down. Okay, because of that, I'm able to train more effectively now. Because I'm training more effectively, my hormones have gotten regulated. Because my hormones have gotten regulated, my relationships are better. Because my relationships are better, I'm sleeping better, so I'm better. So it becomes this like feedback loop. When it comes to all these, dozens and dozens and dozens of things that people need to do, they're probably going to look at holistic lifestyle practices, holistic lifestyle coaching, and just be like, I can't do all that. It's like 30 different things.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't do all of this at once. We didn't make all of these changes at one time. How do you recommend people first dip their toe into this and get started?
It's definitely client dependent. Like some clients are like 80% physical, 20% mental, emotional. Some are the opposite. Some need to go into the emotionality, mentality of like what's going on in their life, and they're physically fine. So it's, one of the best pieces of advice Paul gave at IMS4, which is one of his highest trainings. He just looked at all of us, and there was like 6 of us, like, because our class is like completely fallen off since HLC1.
Yeah.
He basically said,
wait, you said HLC which one?
HLC1.
Oh, I thought you said HLC 6.
Yeah, that's a new one. That's when you like pretty much just become God. Whatever that means to you. But all the textbook shit, everything you learn in these classes, everything you learn in massage school, sometimes just throw it out the window and just empty the bone and really just feel into the person. So what might make sense to you might not make sense to them, but it's just picking 1 to 3 things that like you can really focus on and work on and put a lot of intention and attention into. So it's not overwhelming people, because overwhelm in the form of healthy habits is still overwhelmed to the nervous system. Telling someone to go change your diet, get a sleep mattress, do red light therapy, work out, stretch, eat organic food, cut out the gluten, it's just gonna be too much and stressful.
Yeah.
So it's also what they're willing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do you, because you're in a new relationship, you were in an old relationship when I spoke to you last.
Yeah.
What have you learned about running a business, running a health and fitness-based business, and how that is connected to being in a relationship?
Yeah, well, it's beautiful when you have a partner who supports you and does a lot of the similar things. Like my current partner, she's an RN, she does EFT, she's very much into like holistic living, nutrition, functional medicine. I remember I told her I was a Czech practitioner when I first met her, and she's like, "Oh, that guy, he's a berserker."
He's nuts. It's just in a really amazing way.
Yeah, and it comes down to, again, just finding balance. And everyone says that, but it's like really like taking responsibility for the culture you want to create in your relationship. The paradox is the more I work and the more I work on my business and work with clients and I find fulfillment in myself and I'm on my purpose, the more a relationship flourishes, because she loves to see me in my purpose. That's very classic feminine. Like she wants to see me in my purpose, in that sacred masculinity and integrity of my life and what I'm doing. So that's a beautiful reflection of like, oh, I'm doing something right. And I get to make time for her, but I get to make time from her place of I've handled my work, I've handled my business, I've handled my own nutrition and lifestyle things, I've handled my presence or my practices, my own meditation. So I can bring that balance and I can come to her after all that and just like be fully present with her. I'm not like still thinking about work or programming. We have fun. I mean, here in Austin, Texas, we're out dancing, we're doing bachata, two-stepping, going to concerts, hanging out with friends. So it's been a fun work-life balance for sure. And again, it helps that like she values all the same thing as me.
All right, absolutely. Well, man, I would love to keep on talking, but unfortunately, it seems I've got to go pick somebody up from an airport. So we're gonna have to pick this up another time on probably just do it mobily. But I think this is actually a really, really good way to kind of dip our toes into this because I've been wanting to talk to you for a while because it felt like you were one of the other people in the Czech Institute where I was like, damn, like he knows a lot of shit that I don't know, and he's actively practicing and creating a business. And a lot of people fall into this educational masturbation route of like another course, and never implement any of it. And every time I came back to, you know, HLC2 or IMS2 or whatever it was, every time you and I talked, it was like, how's it been going? And it was like, oh, it's been going good. And we talk about how we're applying it and then talk to a handful of other people and they're like, yeah, you know, I'm just still kind of figuring out like how I want to apply this. And I'm like, dude, Colin fucking takes action. Like Colin fucking does this shit. So yeah, if anybody is in Austin and wants go down the list, a body worker, a holistic lifestyle coach, a neurosomatic therapist, give me the full list. If they want to find who all are you?
Yeah. I wish I had more time to go into like exactly what IMS4 entails and like what I offer. Basically, if you're someone who is in chronic pain and is willing to dive into the complexity of getting better, and you're just tired of being sick and tired and wanting to know a root cause of what's going on, I would love to be there to serve you. So I work with, jaw pain, back pain, neck pain, emotions, again, body work, functional medicine, nutrition, lifestyle, emotional release, somatic work. I'm just here. I objectively say I'm a one-stop shop all.
As you know,
the goal, thank you. And the goal now is to master all that, but I promise you my intention to the work I do is, I'll show up for you and I'll come in with integrity and presence and just help you figure out why you're still in chronic pain. So,
dude, that's a beautiful way to wrap it up. And we will, this will definitely be this is not a, see you guys next time. This is a to be continued with us both specifically. Cause dude, there's like a million different questions that are popping up in my head right now, but gotta handle this first.
Totally understand.
But if people want to find you, where do they find you?
My website, my Instagram are all Colin Carr Coaching, COLINCARR Coaching on Instagram. Putting a lot more content out now and just trying to be more active and just share all the knowledge I've accumulated. So that's where you can find me.
Hell yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to it. And I'll toss together a couple clips too, so you can share some of this out.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, until next time, my name's Andrew with whatever. I know what I'm changing my business names to, but I'm not gonna put it out there yet. But Andrew with the new podcast name. We've got Colin Carr with Colin Carr Coaching, and see you guys next time. Later.
What a guest, huh, guys? Please go comment on their Instagram and let them know that you saw them here. And while you're just doing things that I ask you to, make sure to click this top video that I have linked. That is the last episode of the podcast, which I guarantee will add 10 pounds of muscle to your body. I'll see you there. Later.